Okay, it's 6 o'clock. I call the meeting to order. No roll call then? Uh, Not for this one, okay. Presentation of the budget, Mr. Prokop.
Thank you all for joining us this evening for our annual budget hearing and annual meeting. Fortunate tonight to be able to present some good news for our district that reflects careful strategic prioritization of limited resources that we are provided to fund our public school system here in Bangor. Tonight I'll talk about the state budget, the impact of the ongoing $325 per pupil increase in revenue limit authority that is currently set to continue for a considerable time. We'll discuss what this means in terms of dollars delivered versus revenue limit authority granted. This is a year one of the state's biennium budget, so there's more clarity than we will have next year at this time. We'd like to thank our community for its continued support of our school district, successfully passing our operational referendum in April, allowing us $900,000 per year of revenue limit authority for this year and the next 2 years. As we discussed last spring, it was not that vote that sets our levy and mill rate. It's done tonight at this series of meetings. We understand that our schools are the hub of the entire Bangor school district community, and we do not take that responsibility lightly. We are truly one Bangor, all together for kids and community. Before we get too deep into the meeting tonight, I'd like to thank the school board, administration, and give a huge shout out to Angie for her hard work and dedication to our district financial management. Agenda for tonight is 3 meetings. This is the budget hearing. We'll take a look at last year's budget and really take a look at how that carries forward to this year's budget. And how that all plans out for the 25-26 school year. Following that, we'll have the annual meeting where we'll look to authorize the tax levy amounts for 25-26 and authorize certain board authorities, set salaries for board members, and those types of items. The last meeting will be our special school board meeting. It will be a short board meeting to approve the 2025-2026 budget and tax levy. To start the budget hearing, I'm going to direct you to the document that John has up there. It's in your packet as well on page 3. This is the way that we, look at last year's budget as it was compared to the audited 23-24. Last year's unaudited 25-26, and then the projected budget for 24-25. It's important to note, 25-26, I apologize. Thank you. It's important to note and remember that we're presenting a deficit budget this year that will pull funds back out of Fund 10 for the purchase of that new trip bus. This was planned for last year at the end of the year when we qualified for high cost aid and have intentionally brought those dollars forward to this year. Strategic planning and trying to make sure that we qualify again for some more of that high cost aid in 25-26. For perspective, the funds that we're working with on this budget account for a tax levy that we have chosen to drop the mill rate from 9.39, which was predicted in April, which was this year, to 8.75 for 25-26. When we shared this information with the community at the referendum time in the spring, we were talking a 9.37, so that 8.75 is significantly better. This drop is a pleasant surprise and demonstrates a desire to drop as far as possible to help minimize the impact of rising taxes due to increased property values. It's also important to note an additional $10.5 million in new property growth in the community helps distribute that tax load over a larger base. So that's a positive for the district as well. While we have some control over how we spend the resources we are given, we have little to no control over how much we are provided in funding. And this budget's going to kind of share a little bit about that. As we walk through the major changes in this budget and looking at those 3 columns, the 23-24, the 24-25, and then the 25-26, fund balance shows a $200,000 swing. That is the transportation aid that we got at the end of last year that increased it. and will be the $200,000 that we take out this year for transportation purchases. Still leaves us at the end of the 25-26 school year a healthy fund balance of about 14%. You're going to see in the local sources, 200,000 in local sources, a change there, a decrease there, and that is because of an increase in state aid. So when the state increases our aid, we have to look to our local community for less of that revenue. So we will draw less from our community because of the 6.13% increase in state aid from the state. Some of that increase in the state aid was how we spent out ESSER dollars and some of those the other aid that we had received at the end of last year. The interdistrict changes, the interdistrict payments, you'll see a number there that is going down slightly. That's really about our open enrollment numbers, and Angie calculates that number out on a 3-year average of our open enrollment numbers. I can tell you what we're looking at right now, and it's at the end of the year that they figure this, but what we're looking at right now is that we should be a little bit better than that in the long run, because our trends are trending in the right direction with more ins than out for the district. That's the interdistrict. Sorry, no. Yep, I apologize. The federal source line, there's a drop of 180,000. That is basically due to the end of ESSER 3 funds and the loss of $30,000 in title support. So those are the factors that went into that change there. All other sources dropped by 230,000, and those sources that came in last year were the insurance funds for the gym floor at the activity center and a significant amount of energy rebates that came in at the end of our construction projects. So those were considered all other sources last year. So a drop of approximately 625,000 in expected revenue for the district, with some of those ESSER dollars going away and some of those other funds not coming this way with the energy rebates and such. In the expenditures portion, the instruction, we dropped by 170,000. There's a couple factors in that. Last year we did a large textbook purchase, which means we bought multiple years at once to save money over time. So that was a larger expense last year that's not on there this year. We did reduce from 3 sections of 4K to 2 sections of 4K with the numbers coming in. So there is a savings there. And there is less title support being basically coded to that instructional account this year. The support services function had some savings there as far as the drop and the savings due to new contracts for administrators and ESSER funds expiring. So that's kind of showing why those things changed. Again, you're going to see the expenditures at the bottom of that first box, that 10,913,000, as 200,000 higher than the revenues at 10,713. That's the deficit budget. That is the transportation aid that we're pulling forward to this year for the additional transportation purchases. Special funds projects. So the special funds project box, you're going to see the two beginning fund balance and end fund balance, and then you're going to see the expected revenues and expenditures there. These are Fund 21 and Fund 27. Fund 21 are activity accounts. You guys see the reports on those every 3 months. Our goal is not really to make money, earn money, but there's some money sitting there with those for our activity accounts. And then Fund 27, which is special education. So those are the costs there. The biggest reason for the drop there is we have fewer purchase services in special ed that we're planning for this year, which means fewer students leaving the district for some other programs or specific types of higher cost type needs for our students. Debt services. So the debt services, you're going to see that beginning fund balance. That is money that in the past we've been able to um, over levy, I guess, and to help maintain that mill rate. And you're seeing that fund balance grow as we're over levying in this budget as well, and building a balance in that area. As Angie and I look at it, if you remember the way we structured some debt, we've got a balloon payment in about 9 years for our referendum debt. So we can start to build towards that, or we may refinance before then. We'll be working with Baird on all of that. But addressing paying down some of that debt and not having something unattainable 9 years out there for the district. That was all part of the plan during the referendum planning. Capital projects, this is Fund 46, so that is the money that is available to us now. We had to wait 3 years when we started that account. We've added to it each year. That is the money for capital improvements to the district, and you can see that we're budgeting to put $100,000 into that account this year to continue to plan for those future roof type replacements and the boilers and those types of large purchases that we need to be prepared for. And then the final box there is the food services, where we're always looking to break even. You'll remember we had a balance, I think last year, and we tried to deficit balance because we wanted to pay down some of that balance because we get in trouble if we have too high of a balance, and they didn't want us to deficit budget, right? I mean, that's basically what we found out. But again, that food service, our goal there is not necessarily to make money. It is to break even and feed our kids. With this current budget as it is, and you can see the difference between last year and this year, just my reminders for you. In the current budget as it is planned, we are planning for a current level of staffing. The additional special education support that we have some in place now and are looking for an additional teacher at the elementary school. We have a buffer in place for our insurance being self-funded and not having run quite as well as we would have liked to last year, just making sure that we're planning for that. We have an initial allocation towards that baseball, softball field restoration and planning for that work and bringing more to that back to you in November on that. We have an additional contribution of that $100,000 to Fund 46. We have the purchase of the new trip bus that is on the consent agenda of our special meeting tonight. The purchase of the new 10-passenger van, also on that consent agenda tonight. Additional stage lighting previously removed during the value engineering at the elementary school on that agenda tonight. And then I'm working with a couple of contractors to get bids on the tuck pointing and caulking. We have left an allowance in there to address some of the maintenance on this facility here, the middle school, high school. We have the new skylights that are ordered and are in manufacturing process that we've already talked about, and the snow rails were already installed over at the activity center. So all of those things encompassed into that $10.9 million budget for 25-26. Tried to break down the areas where things have changed the most for you. This is your opportunity for discussion. Yeah.
Strange question.
Mhm.
So usually in the summer, so next summer, there's usually renovations throughout the building, like painting or carpet or things like that. Do you have, obviously that would be in here, but do you have any plans for that, or are we good with all of the remodel that you don't see a lot of things being done this summer?
So I guess I would say we do have kind of a money built in every year for those types of projects. And we also use, if we over budgeted for building budgets, if we over budgeted for fuel, those types of things, we bring all of that surplus together at the end of the year, and I come to you with some of those projects. So as far as next level projects, we're addressing some of those. They may go toward, or with the skylights and those types of things. As far as rooms, Mike and I are working on numbers for the 2008 classrooms at the elementary school to go in, do floors, paint walls, replace like ceiling tiles and those types of things, do the lighting. So those would probably be similar to how we did carpet here, going through those one at a time and continuing to update those so that's cohesive throughout that entire building down there. So that's the next piece that we're kind of looking at as far as that type of aesthetic maintenance for the facility. Those would be the next rooms we'd attack.
I just remember you always allocating some for every
Yep.
summer for something to do, so.
Yep.
Okay.
Any other questions?
If there's no other questions for discussion, I'm looking for adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Lisa, second by Kelly. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.
All right. So now you're going to go to the annual meeting.
Yep, going to call to order the annual meeting. We need to elect a chairperson.
I nominate Shelley Piskey.
Need a second?
Motion by Joni, second by Tina for Shelley Piskey for chairperson. We are,
All
oh,
in favor?
I'm sorry, yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Looking to elect a clerk. Looking for a motion.
Motion to approve Tina Matheson.
Motion by Joni, seconded by Lisa for Tina Matheson as clerk. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Can read the minutes of the annual meeting. The minutes or the reading may be waived with a motion.
I'll make a motion to waive the required reading of the minutes of the last annual meeting
And approve them.
and approve them as.
Thank you.
Motion by Joni, seconded by Tina to waive the reading of last year's annual meeting minutes and approve as written. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Treasurer's report. Dr. Brokaw?
Yeah, so the treasurer's report, what page is it on? Page 6 of your packet, is going to show where the funds ended up at the end of the 24-25 school year. If you compare and you look at this and compared to the budget sheet that we just went through in the budget hearing, the numbers are going to be off a little bit because the Special Ed Fund 27 is included in this top area, showing the local sources. The federal sources is going to be off, showing that because some of those federal sources came from Special Ed. So we had a total revenue last year of $11,913,000, and the total expenditures of $11,715,472, leaving us that surplus of $198,318. So that's what I've been calling the $200,000 that then carried to fund balance. The operating transfer of $1.174419 is a transfer from Fund 10 to Fund 27. So that's when we talk about the funding of special ed, the money that we receive for special ed does not cover that. The district had to take from Fund 10, that 1.174 million to special ed. So that's just an operational transfer that happens in there. So that's documented there, showing that $198,000 surplus again, and then showing the fund balance, again, running at about that 14% of our budget at the end of the year, or a little over 14% with that 200,000 in there. Any questions on the treasurer's report.
Okay, if no questions, moving on to report on Fund 73.
The Fund 73 balance at June 30th, 2025 was $327,488.36. The Fund 73 interest earned for the year ending June 30th, 2025 was $5,631.10. And the Fund 73 benefits paid for the year ending June 30th, 2025 was $43,686.60.
Any questions on that? All right.
Okay, no questions. Moving on to old business, and there is none. So new business, authorize the tax levy for the 24-25 school year.
Yeah, I'd call your attention to the revenue limit worksheet, just for your quick review. One of the things that I think is important to look at is the color-coded key on there at the bottom. The green is auto-calculated, the yellow comes directly from the DPI, and the pink is district entered. So you can see we've got a little corner in that bottom right-hand corner that we actually enter any data in. The rest is it's mostly data that we've given the state, but then they populate in the form for us. So as we go through this, I'm going to give you just some of the high spots. Remember, our calculation is based on our FTE, and that is a 3-year average. So you can see last year's 3-year average of 619 and this year's 3-year average of 621. I guess important to note, we've got 618 falling off next year. We were at 614 this year. Hopefully we're at least at 618 next year. Otherwise we start to see that decline there over time. We do have that 631 that we'll start to pay attention to a little bit more as we look at that 3-year average over time and watch what the district is doing. But from the 619 to the 621, we have a +3. That bottom left-hand, in the bottom of that left-hand box is the $547 million. That's the property value in the district. That is up by about $65 million. About 10.5 million of that is due to new property coming online. So that's a portion of that. That increase is about 13%. The state average is about 8%. So as a district, we did see that. As you will recall from past conversations, that does not hit every person in our community the same. Different townships, different villages, all have different impacts of that. So we recognize property value is increasing. That is part of why the mill rate is able to drop, and we're able to try to correlate that to help ease that for the folks that especially saw the highest value change in their properties. We take that 621 over to the right-hand column. We have that calculation in row 5, basically, of the $11,793 per pupil. That includes, you can see above the 325 per pupil increase. Times that 621 gives you the $7,323. Carry that down. You're going to see in the column, the yellow column on the left, you're going to see the $900,000 of referenda authority, the levy authority that our taxpayers have supported for us. You're going to see some minor changes with the prior year open enrollment, the prior year open enrollment count. That number is up and helping us there a little bit. I always stop to talk about the private school vouchers. This is a a number that at $184,000 for our district, that's about 20% of what we ask our taxpayers for each year, that 900,000. $184,000, an increase of about $27,000 over last year. Those are dollars that we tax for as the Bangor School District that we never see, that go directly to private schools who do not operate under the same rules and regulations that we do. So I think it's just important to note that the same accountability, and we do not know who the students are that are receiving those dollars or where they're going or what they're doing. But it is money that we levy for. So it's important to talk about that. That money is going to roll down. You're going to see the October aid. So this was that last number we were looking at. That aid for the district increased. I had said it earlier, 6.12%, I believe, over last year. It's about $342,000 for the district. So that's direct taxpayer assistance because it's less money that we have to go to our local sources for. So that and the fact that property values increased there's supposed to be some give and take there. And those are the factors that are leading us to ultimately to our mill rate. So you'll see as you go down, we have that $2,466,000 number that is allowable for the levy. And then you'll see the general obligations, that's the Fund 10. And then in line 15 is that revenue the revenue 15A is the $2,322,000. That's what we will levy for debt services. And again, you saw on that other sheet where that fund is going up there. We're over levying to plan for that larger payment that we have out in 9 years and make sure that that doesn't become an issue. In doing so, looking at that number, we knew we wanted to be below that 937, which we promised in April. We also don't want to be so low that next year that we need to come back and raise it back up. So we wanted to look at that number. It helps us create that stability. And ultimately, Angie and I felt pretty confident and comfortable with the 8.75 for the levy rate per $1,000. So I think a pretty good number, better than anticipated, and really shows the district, I think, moving in a good direction with that continuing to drop. Questions on the revenue limit worksheet?
I think we were at 11 when I came on board. In the 11s, double digits. I know it was double digits.
Yeah.
So I really am happy to see the 8.7.
I think when I started some of those slides that I've carried forward, and I've just hidden cells since then, but when I started them, when we were talking about the operational, yeah, it went up over 11, 10, 15 years ago now. And we've been on a trajectory that's headed in the right direction. And I think with the community support that we've had for our facilities, with the ongoing operational support, we may have stayed slightly higher than some of the folks around us, but we have facilities, we have a school system with great educators that does not happen without that continued support. And we've been very fortunate to be able to have that. And I think this is a good show of faith to get it as low as we can and take care of our community, but also continue with the high quality education and opportunities we're providing for our kids. So if there are no other questions, we would look to authorize the tax levy for and I'm going to change that right now, for the 25-26 school year.
I'll make a motion to approve the tax levy for the 2025-2026 school year at $4,788,845.
I'll second.
A motion was made by Joni and a second by Jessica to approve the tax levy for the 25-26 school year. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Next, authorize the board to direct and provide the prosecution of defense and legal actions of proceedings in which the district has an interest in.
We just need a motion to basically read that or say, so moved.
So moved.
I'll second.
A motion by Joni, a second by Lisa to authorize the board to direct and provide prosecution or defense. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. To authorize the board to change the annual meeting date. Looking for a motion on that.
Second.
A motion by Tina, second by Kelly to authorize the board to change the annual meeting date. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Authorize the payment of expense for board members and their performance outside of normal duties.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Lisa, second by Joni to authorize payment of expense of board members in their performance outside normal duties. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Set salaries for school board members for the 24-25.
25,
Excuse
26,
me,
I
yep.
apologize.
Yep, it's written that way. 25-26 school year.
I would move to leave them as they are.
I'll second.
Motion by Joni, seconded by Lisa to leave the salaries as they are, as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Other new business within the power, unless
I would guess there's none. but
anybody have anything new they want to bring forward? Barring none, I guess I look for adjournment.
Second.
Motion by Tina, seconded by Kelly to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now moving on to the special meeting. I call the special meeting to order. Roll call. Julie is not here. Attest to publication.
I saw them all posted.
Joni can attest to publication. Approval of the agenda.
I'll second.
Tina makes the motion to approve the agenda, seconded by Lisa. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Authorize the tax levy for the 25-26 school year.
So just as a reminder, the reason we do this meeting is the annual meeting is a meeting of the electorate. It's open to anyone in the community to vote on that. Ultimately, the board sets that. So the recommendation of the annual meeting was to approve the budget. So it is to the board with no changes, looking for approval of the tax levy, as we just discussed in the last meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve a tax levy for the 2025-2026 school year at $4,788,845.
I'll second.
Motion by Lisa, seconded by Jessica to approve the tax levy for the 25-26 school year at $4,788,845. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the 25-26 budget.
Same thing, same as the first meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Joni, seconded by Kelly to approve the 25-26 budget as reviewed during the annual budget hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Removal of items from the consent agenda. The consent agenda, everything is listed, authorized short-term borrowing, the purchase of a new trip bus, the 10-passenger van, and additional stage lighting. Looking for a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Motion by Joni, seconded by Lisa to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And looking for adjournment.
I'll second.
Motion by Tina, seconded by Lisa for adjournment. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.
Good work.